This episode of St James's Pod is brought to you by Total Supplements. Visit their website totalsupplements.co to discover their range of nutritionist-tested supplements, gummies, shakes and natural extracts. From popular sports supplements like whey protein, creatine, vitamin tablets and powders to mental health supplements such as nootropics and mushrooms, they've got you totally covered. They also have men's health collection offering testosterone support and beauty supplements to keep you looking like your absolute best. I personally use Total Supplements products and I have been using them from before they came on board to sponsor the podcast, so I'm hugely excited to be partnering with a brand that I know and love. So whether you train hard, work hard or take an active interest in your overall health, use our code stjames'pod, that's STJAMESPOD, for 25% off your entire order. The link's in the description. Support the podcast and visit totalsupplements.co now and tell them St James's Pod sent you. And we're back. Welcome to St James's Pod. And Newcastle United are back in winning ways in the best way possible, embarrassing the Mackems at the Stadium of Light with a 3-0 victory. I'm here with Tom and Alex to go over that and discuss all the Mackems tiers, as well as look ahead to the Man City game. But first up, we've just seen the FA Cup draw for the fourth round, and Newcastle United are drawn away to Fulham. Tom, start with you. What's your thoughts on the draw?
Could have been better, I would say. It's a little disappointing. It was always going to be hard to try and get. It could be worse. Yeah, I mean, there's still the likes of Liverpool, City, and all them lot in the hat. So, there's still a very realistic chance of us having a run at the competition. It's just obviously going to be coming from the highs of drawing Sunderland and in the third round, smashing them. You kind of feel like you want like something again, another big-ish kind of tie, and then Fulham away just doesn't have that same appeal. But they're a decent side. They're in a semi-final of the Carabao Cup, so it's not going to be a walkover by any stretch, and be another big test for Eddie and the boys.
Just need to get in Jimenez's head again and make him completely lose his head, so he gets sent off in the first 20 minutes or whatever he did in the league game. So, no, I'm with you. It's his banana skin, definitely. Like,
it's the fact it's away from home again, isn't it?
It's another away tie. Yeah, I know we had it fortunate on the lead up to the Carabao Cup final last year with a lot of home games, but we're on the other side of the coin this year by the looks of it, and not an easy tie away to Fulham. They snuck past Rotherham on Friday night, and I mean they didn't really sort of set the world alight, but it's one of those that they got through the next round, and now they're rewarded with another home tie against the mighty Toon.
So when will this fixture be played then? Is it the week after Villa?
I think it's at the end of the month. I want to say it's a couple of weeks' time,
Yeah. Maybe 3 weeks' time.
As he dropped with that hospital pass there.
And then there's some big ties in there as well, though, isn't there? So we've got Spurs, City, and Chelsea, Villa are the two standout ones. So obviously, two of them will be out of it. I mean,
that's Wigan tonight, then they're rewarded with a tie against Newport or Eastleigh. Like, fuck me.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have loved to take one of them at home, like just to get a nice easy tie for once, just to get with through, and then especially this January's like so. I know. Like
every tie in the FA Cup can be a dodgy one, and I mean you just have to look at what Eddie's record was prior to that, the win this weekend. Like he'd had a pretty awful record of things, losing to Cambridge and Chef Wed. So even asking for a so-called easier team at home doesn't always work out. But he's obviously banished that record now as Eddie. So yeah, that was must be a good feeling for him to get that one off his back.
Oh yeah, let's get into it then. The old the derby was back, and it was obviously Eddie Howe's first. And like you say, with his record going into the game, I don't know about you guys, but I couldn't make my mind up. I was like, some days I was confident. I was like, well, obviously on paper I'm way better than these. And then other times I was like, but form's terrible. You know, the FA Cup stuff for the last couple of seasons. We're away from home. How were you guys feeling like in the build up? I know, Dorse, you watched it at the pub, didn't you? What was the feeling there up until kickoff?
I think the closer I got to kick off, the more nervous people were getting. Like, as the players were coming out, like I wasn't even talking to my pals that I was there with. I was just like concentrated on the match. Like I couldn't let myself like get excited because I was so nervous about it. And to be fair, like for the past like couple of days, like it's been the same. Like I was nervous for it. Like I just wanted it over. Like I know obviously we've got a far superior side, but anything can happen in these cup games. You know, we went to these games where there's like scrappy games, and we don't tend to do very well when like so-called worst teams, even if it is like Bournemouth or whatever, like drag went with like a bit of a tough game. But it couldn't have been any different to that. It was probably the most comfortable derby win I've seen in my lifetime, to be honest. Like they didn't have a sniff the full game, and probably from even the first like 5-10 minutes, I think you could just tell like we were so superior to them on the pitch. Like it's almost as if the atmosphere got to them a little bit more than us, because I felt like they like shit the bed a little bit in terms of like the crowd. Obviously, they don't see a full stadium there very often, and I think maybe the occasion got to them a little bit more because I didn't see the game plan. I didn't see this Barcelona style of play they've been talking about in the Championship, and yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I was disappointed to see how bad they were, but obviously we've heard good things about this young Sunderland side, and we didn't see any of that on Saturday, and it was apparent from very early on.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. Just disappointed that there wasn't as much of a fight from them. Like they just whimpered away. Like it was just so evident from the start. Like it was nice to see like away from home. We've been crying out for it on this pod, like for us to impose ourselves on the home sides when we've been away from home, and we haven't done that enough this season. Immediately from the off, we're straight down like the right hand side. Trippier is just practically, overlapping every single time, and it was just evident that we wanted to dominate that game, and we did just that. But disappointed in terms of obviously delighted with the win and how comfortable it was, but you want the derby games to at least have some sort of like jeopardy in there, just to keep you on your toes a little bit. That there was barely any jeopardy in that game. Like we didn't feel even the odd couple of shots that they had. Pritchard grazing the crossbar, pulled off a save from Dubravka, but never. I didn't even feel particularly like those moments were gonna make me feel like I needed to go and get a strong drink. Like I was it was just comfortable.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I'll take a comfortable derby any day, mate. Like fuck that. I don't want them nerves. Well, it was odd, wasn't it? Like, because obviously they've changed manager recently, but the game plan seemed to be to give us a lot of time at the back, which, if you'd studied us, like, when we're at our best, that's, like, one of the worst things you can do, really, is, like, give Fabian Schär time on the ball to pick out a pass, and then we were just, like, we took the sting out of the game straight away by just playing it around the back. And yeah, their crowd went pretty quiet after about 5 minutes. The atmosphere sounded mint for the first 5 minutes, and then it seemed to just die off, and then you could just hear our fans. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you kind of following the Championship is like, or following Sunderland is like. I'm assuming you probably don't follow them greatly, but the manager change seems a strange one from afar. I don't know if you've got any more insight on that, either of you.
Well, it seems to echo like what Birmingham did when they had themselves in 6th place with John Eustace as manager, got rid of him and brought Rooney in, and Rooney obviously has been recently sacked because he's sent them so far back down to 18th. Not to say that Sunderland will go down that badly, but I just feel like, yeah, they sacked Mowbray in a position of, like, again, where they were strong in the table. They're still up there in and around 6th place, so they're very much in a playoff race. But this Michael Beale's come in, and he was terrible at Rangers, and yeah, I just honestly not sure what he was trying to even do, like, in that game. Like, he seemed tactically inept in comparison to Eddie Howe. So yeah, I don't know. He's got a big task on his hands, because if he doesn't get them back into the playoffs, I'm sure, like, you know, the Mackems are going to be fuming with how they've fallen away from that when they looked like, you know, in a relatively good spot. But yeah, they do play good, decent football. I've watched them before last season when they went away to Sheffield United, and yeah, they're a good attacking team. Jack Clark, like, was really good that day I seen him, but he was meant to be their star man.
Heard good things about him, and obviously Bellingham in the centre. But
so why didn't they play against us then?
Well, exactly. Yeah, they were just absolutely missing the whole game. Like, Trippier had him in his Clark in his back pocket the whole game. Like, it looked so obvious, like the gulf at times, like between them and us, like Championship and Champions League. So yeah, it was. They're gonna need to do a little bit if they're gonna squad wise, if they're realistically wanting to get back into playing regular derbies with us again.
Yeah, like, I'm going to go back to the appointment. Like, I work with a few Mackems, and when he got given the job, it was like confusion. They were like, we've like got like sacked a manager who's doing all right, to getting a manager who is no better. Like, he's not going to change things up. Like, he's not an inspiring choice that they've got in, and they didn't understand it at all. So yeah, from the fans' point of view, they didn't get it, and the results, obviously, they lost the first 1 or 2 games, I think, and then unbeaten in 3 before playing us. But I mean, he's hardly pulling up trees, and the one tactical thing that I seen him do in the game against us was, first off, obviously they were playing it out short from the keeper, as they obviously do in their league, and they can do quite well against a lower quality opposition. And then towards the end of the first half, they were getting put under pressure, and the keeper started kicking it long. Second half, they came back out and started playing it short again. Like, you'd obviously told them at half time, no, go back to like playing it short from goal kicks. What happened 2 minutes in? Miggy pinches the ball and they concede from it. And I was saying to the lads that I was with, like, keep on playing like this. Like, play out from the back. Like, we were making them make mistakes constantly. So when I seen that the second half, I was like, yep, I'll happily let them try to do that. On Jack Clark, there was one time when the ball got switched and it was just dropped in behind Trippier, went up for a goal kick, and I was like, right, that's like a warning, like we don't want that happening like again. And then for the rest of the game, like, you just got nothing. Every time you tried to go past Trippier, whether it was on the inside or outside, it's like Trippier like knew what he was doing every time. Like, you didn't have an absolute sniff. And yeah, Trippier was one of many Toon players who had a pretty faultless game in my eyes. Like, but yeah, like, I wouldn't say I was comfortable. Even at 1-0, I was still like a little bit nervous because, yeah, we've seen us do that against other teams and get caught on the break and stuff. But yeah, it was pretty comfortable. Even at half time when we did get that goal, which obviously we'd been pushing for all half. Yeah, I didn't feel for one moment that we were going to properly throw it away. Like even though as a Toon fan, it's like ingrained in your mind, like we've been through all the bad times. You fear the worst, but yeah, great performance from back to front, I reckon.
Yeah, and when you say like back to front, I think Dubravka's kind of seeming like he's settled in a bit better now. Obviously, he had a great performance against Liverpool, even though he conceded 4. But yeah, he's looked solid the last couple of games, and I kind of feel a bit like people crying out to bring a new keeper in and stuff. It's like anyone you bring in is still going to be your number 2. So how are you expecting to have a better number 2 than Dubravka, even though it's like he's had a few moments like when he first come back into the team and stuff. At the end of the day, like you're not going to get a better number 2, really. It's just one of them things. Like Pope's out for a long time, and you know he's got to deal with it. With even though he's had a couple of moments, I think he's still the best number 2 in the league. So I'm happy that we're starting to see him looking more confident and stuff. And yeah, I mean he's obviously had Botman come back in as well, which will help. What did you make to Dan Burn getting the nod? Obviously, left back. He'd had not the best time in the last couple of games. And since he's come back from injury, really hasn't really looked to be at his best. But obviously, local lad and all that. And I think with his experience and stuff, he's probably Eddie Howe's first choice anyway. Like, I think he trusts him the most. But Livramento could have started on the left. What did you make to that choice?
Yeah, I think it's like you've just said, hit the nail on the head. It's a local lad, knows this fixture, inside out, from just being a fan, and has never played in one either before that point. So I think for a lot of those lads, like they'll have been knocking on the door, like for Eddie to be like, look, you know how much this game means to me, like let me play in it. Same with Longstaff. And I mean, yeah, at this moment in time, it's not just like he's just throwing them in for a sympathy kind of. It's a derby game. These are like our best options right now. In some respects, like I know Livramento has played there quite a bit, but yeah, Dan Burn didn't really put a foot wrong in the game, and I think that just showed that he's he knew how important it was not to like make any mistakes and just lead by example. And I thought it was a smart move in the end from Eddie. And yeah, same goes with Longstaff as well. In the midfield, I know he in the first half he might have had a few chances which he wished he could have buried, like, and get himself that first derby goal. But yeah, I thought he had another solid game as well. Amongst many, like we could highlight all 11 that started and point out where they had all good games. But yeah, those in particular, the Geordie lads, like rose to the occasion, I thought, and yeah, it was nice for them, obviously, because we don't know if we're going to be playing them anytime soon. So for them to just be able to tick that box to say that they've played a derby, especially Dan Burn at his stage in his career, like yeah, it was a nice thing for him.
I even Paul Drummond getting on for the last 4 minutes or so and getting derby win after all this time.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it seemed a bit of a, not a sympathy, but, you know, a little with yourselves as well, like, get yourselves on, boys. But
get ourselves on, boys. But no, going back to Dan Burn. Like, this was Eddie Howe's back four last season. How well did they do in the league last season? Like, I think going forward, this is his preferred back four still. And I think unless Burn gets injured or, like, how many howlers would it take for him to be pulled out of the squad? I think genuinely, if he's fit, he's going to start left back, at least for the rest of this season. Despite Tina looking so good. But I guess just having Livramento gives with that depth that we can change things up. We can rest a player, whether that's Trips or Burn now, and we would be comfortable with them starting on either side. Or, yeah, if we're all looking for more attacking option left back in the second half, we know he can come on left back and cut inside and do what he did against PSG and create chances. So it's a nice option to have. Now we're finally getting players back fit. But it's still those attacking options where we're so thin. Obviously, Wilson out at the end of the month. Willock and Barnes, I think, the same. And if you look at our bench against Sunderland, it's still really thin. So it's once we start getting one of those two back, like, fingers crossed, like, will results in the league will start to give her a bit more form as well.
Yeah, and with Joe Linton coming off as well just after half time, that's a worry. Not only an attacking option, but obviously enforcer in the centre of the park. Just before City game, I haven't seen anything about whether he'll be fit for the game or not. I had a quick look, I couldn't find anything.
If you think of, like, he definitely, when he's played that, like, crossfield pass, like, it looks like he's overextended something, like, so, no, obviously, no idea what that would be without Eddie confirming it in a press conference, but, like, it didn't look particularly good, but then, I don't know, it didn't look like it was a one which would keep him out for no longer than a few weeks potentially. Like, he's had those, like, injury issues all season though, like, and it's all seems to be muscle related ones that he seems to be picking up. So I just hope that he's not out for no longer than, like, a couple of weeks and he just misses maybe a few games. Obviously big games to miss, but I thought he was outstanding. Like, he was my man of the match. Even though he only played that first half, he was just amazing. And what he did, obviously creating that first goal, he just seemed back to his absolute best, just dominating. He is going to be a miss for the City game for sure.
It seemed like it was quad, not just on the TV, but it seemed like it was the opposite leg to the one he always has strapped up. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but the fact he came out second half kind of makes us think it might not be too bad. It's not like he was forced off straight away. And then obviously we got the goal like 30 seconds into the second half, and then they took him off. So I don't know if that was kind of like, well, we're 2 up now, so just get him off anyway. Or he was just like, he tried and then he was like, no, there's no way I can play on. So I guess we'll have to wait for the press conference to find out the situation, but I'm kind of hoping that there's a chance he will actually play in that game. But yeah, we'll find out. I think another player who was back to his best was Anthony Gordon as well. He seemed to be having a great time down that left-hand side. And their right back, obviously, eventually got a booking. And then after that, he just couldn't really touch him. So he was having some joy on that left-hand side. So do you think the rest is basically just all Gordon's needed? The fact that we had a free, well, not free week, but we had an actual week between games this time.
Yeah, and I know Eddie said it in his press conferences that there's been barely any time to do any work on the training ground with the amount of games that we've had, and you know, I can understand it a bit now. Like, and can maybe start to see where the form had been bad before, like, has come into it, because there's been that extra rest period. obviously a bit more work on tactics and stuff as well, which you could see being utilised in the game as well. And yeah, I think it's not just Gordon, but like others as well, like just seem to thrive a bit more on the fact that they'd had those extra days to recuperate. And yeah, we were just back to top form. Yeah, Gordon was, like you say, terrorising that right back all throughout the game. And then obviously Ballard, the centre half as well, just clattering him. He had that extra yard or two over these like players. All right, fair enough, they're Championship defenders, but and there'll be better ones that Gordon will come up against for the remainder of the season. But yeah, he just had an extra few yards on them with that burst of energy, and like he's going to be a threat, I think, for the for defences that he comes up against, like for the rest of the season. Just playing that one game a week sort of for the rest of the season will be definitely beneficial for him.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to judge him because they were so bad, really. Like, as you say, he absolutely terrorised like Hume. And so, to be fair, Miggy the same on the other side. I thought he had a cracking game, both on the ball and off the ball. Like, I thought his work rate, obviously his work rate's always top notch, but like he was quite like resourceful with the ball. He wasn't losing it very much. So I hope this gives him, like as he was last season when he went into that purple patch, as everyone calls it, where he can go on and run a form where he's got a bit more confidence, because he is a confidence player. He's our only right winger, so like when Gordon was put out there, he wasn't as effective as he is on the left. So I'd rather keep Gordon out on the left too. Keeping those lads, as you're saying, playing one game a week, actually being able to play as we want to play on the front foot, pressing, like causing mistakes like we did do this game, which we've repeatedly done. I'm a bit more confident going, well, maybe not in the City game or the Villa away, probably two of the hardest fixtures you could have in the league this season, but going forward, I'm like a bit more confident that we will find a form going into like the home run and finish in a European spot and maybe see what happens in the next round against Fulham, I guess. Yeah, well, you say like a European spot, like I think it's like 7th or 8th place, like I'll get a Conference League spot. Like it's like ridiculously out where reach is it?
Well, no, if you're talking 8th, then fair enough. But if we're talking 4th.
When I said European spot, I was not meaning Champions League.
Yeah, I think we all have to just put Champions League ambitions to one side now. I think that's very much gone. But no, I agree with Dorst. Like, there's still hope that we can push back up into top 7, 7th or 6th, maybe try and nick a Europa League spot out of it. I mean, you've got to remember as well that there's quite a lot of teams above us at the moment who have players who've left to go to the African Cup of Nations and the Asian Cup, and quite big name players as well for certain teams. Like, look at Spurs, we've lost Son, and there's a few others as well, like who have gone.
Salah's gone.
But yeah, they might be a little bit further past like the teams I'm thinking of. But but yeah, you're right though. Like there's going to be so those teams are going to have to cope with that. We don't have any players who've gone away, thankfully. I don't think we could afford to let any players go with the injuries that we have. But yeah, that could be a little edge as well that can help with us trying to get back to where we want to be. And yeah, the FA Cup, we've got to take that seriously as anything now. But yeah, there's still hope.
Which European competition do you get into if you win the FA Cup? Is it Europa or Conference?
Europa, and then if you have already qualified through the league, No, not in the Europa these days. I think you go straight into the group stage.
Awesome.
It's I think if you finish in the Europa Conference League position, which goes to the winner of the Carabao Cup, then you have to qualify through a few rounds of those playoffs. So, yeah. And at the moment, with Middlesbrough still in the Carabao Cup, there's a chance that if they went on to win it, they would, that Europa Conference League spot wouldn't fall into the league. But the same goes for Chelsea as well, I suppose, because they're behind us and they're still in that competition.
Yeah, Chelsea's one of them though that they could have a bit of a surge. But yeah, like other teams like Man U, obviously going to lose the keeper, so we'll see what happens with them. And the other two that are like stand out above us that you'd like to think we could catch are Brighton and West Ham. So yeah, I mean,
that's AFCON as well. Like,
well, yeah,
obviously his form.
Yeah, Mitoma's gone to the Asian Cup as well for Brighton in mind. So yeah, there's there's huge players there, like that have left these other clubs that are right directly above us. So yeah, we've got to take advantage of that.
I believe is what you're trying to say, because we don't again. There's like teams above us still in European competitions as well. Now, like we don't have that as well. Like, let's be honest. There's no excuses now. Like, we really need to book ideas out, I guess. Players coming back from injury, like 1 game a week. Yeah, like we really need to turn the form around, and yeah, work our way back up the tail, I think.
Well, yeah, we've got to put some of the doubters like who've been calling last season a fluke, and like, yeah, we know as a fan base we overachieved, but like by no stretch was it a fluke. Like we were up there on merit, and like, yeah, we can't just let this season, like, yeah, we've had a few highlights, but we don't want to like just then regress too much for people to be like, yeah, pointing that finger at us and being like, well, yeah, you got lucky, you don't deserve it, yada yada sort of thing. Like, we do deserve to be in and around like the top 6 for sure. We just, yeah, you're right. We need to start proving it now with the results and the extra time period that we have to get players back and back in form.
As we're into 2024 now, everything's seeming quite positive. Obviously, looking to surge up that table now in the Premier League, but our next game is Man City at home, which, not to get back to being negative on this podcast, but I mean, it's a tough game, innit? Like, to be fair, they're not having their best season ever, but what are you thinking heading into this game?
Yeah, they're not having the best season in some respects, but then they've also been missing Kevin De Bruyne for a long period.
Yeah, and he's back now as well.
And he is back. He's back as
he fit
emphatically as you are
to start.
He's back.
He's back. No, I think he might get thrown straight in. He looked pretty sharp when he came on, albeit against Huddersfield in the cup, and they were already cruising in that game. But he went straight in there, got an assist, and looked pretty much back to his usual self of just being a game changer. And obviously we know what he's capable of in this fixture as well. He's scored a few down the years. So yeah, I would be a bit cautious of if he is going to be in the Man City starting 11, that they're going to come out with some purpose. And similar to us, like they've they've got a bit of work to do to get to where they aspire to be, back on top of the table. So yeah, and we know what City can do around this turn of the year. They just, Pep Guardiola sides just become absolute like juggernauts, don't they? So yeah, we just need to prevent that from being the case, at least against us. It's no easy feat.
It looks like they're unbeaten in the last 4, and they've got a game in hand, so they're not that far off, really. They're not that far. If they win the game in hand, they're only 2 points off Liverpool. So
yeah, no, they're very much in.
Well,
yeah,
they've been missing who?
I think it's the big Norwegian meat shield, Erling Haaland.
Oh yeah, he'll be. I'd rather he was playing than De Bruyne, to be fair though. But I mean,
I'd rather none of them were playing, if I'm honest.
Oh yeah, I feel like Lascelles did a good job on him in the last couple of games though, so it doesn't worry me that much.
Also, Foden gave a big trouble in the league game. You could have arguably had a few more goals. Like, he caused all sorts of bother just hanging like in between our defence and midfield, and that's where we've been having trouble. And like those transitions, when the midfield gets caught a bit high, he could torture again, and he's in good form as well. So I'm not looking forward to Phil Foden in this match. I think he could be trouble. But yeah, they've got a few injuries. Like Haaland might not make it back. De Bruyne might not be fit enough to start. Like Stones is back out again, injured. Like they're all missing a few players. Like, however, the players coming in, Alvarez, Bernardo, Grealish, whatever, they're all ridiculous players. So you can't really sort of say it's going to be any easier game because they're missing these players. But if we're on our game, like as we're seeing last season, we can give them a game at St James's Park. We just need to be up for it. Like, we need the crowd to be up for it, like 5:30 kick-off. And we need the players to be up for it. And after that 3-0 win against the Scum, like, they're going to be feeling confident. Like, I know the levels between the two teams couldn't be further. But, like, it will give them confidence after, like, that big win going into Saturday. And thinking, right, like, let's get at them. Like, nothing to lose, kind of. Give them a fast game, whatever you want to say.
Proper. Yeah, well, don't forget that we have beaten them already this season at St James's in the Carabao Cup, and deservedly so. In that one, so yeah, I think our record against them at St James's in recent times is more favourable. Obviously, we get nothing at the Etihad, but yeah, at our place we have managed to get some decent results out of them. Last season, obviously, we got the 3-3 draw, and I think the season before that, I think we got a draw against them as well, maybe 2-2, or the Shelby one where he scored the equaliser after De Bruyne's stunner. So yeah, look, we've had decent games against them at home, so there's definitely reasons to feel a bit more confident going into it as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think I think you're right, Dawes. Like, confidence coming off the back of that win against Sunderland's gonna be coursing through the team. So yeah, I'm semi-confident we'll get something out of it.
Yeah, the confidence is a huge thing. I think little things as well, like that, taking the team photo on the pitch at the stadium, are like things like that. Like, that'll stay with the players and they'll be on an absolute high. So you'd imagine this week, training wise and everything like that, we should be in the best position possible with the players that are fit. But it worries me if Joe Linton's out. You would assume Miley obviously comes in, and he didn't have his best game against Sunderland. And I'm not sure really if our midfield's that great with Miley and Longstaff, unless we kind of train throughout the week with a specific plan for those three to be in there. Maybe Bruno has to play a bit different. Let Miley maybe be the one that goes forward a bit more. But I don't know, like when he came on for Joe Linton, it would worry me that sort of centre mid against City, especially if De Bruyne's back in.
Yeah, we'd aim to just stick like Bruno probably on De Bruyne, like or Longstaff, like just have somebody just sat on him, because it would be a lot obviously to ask.
If you've got one man on De Bruyne, who are you going to have on Rodri? Who are you going to have on Foden? Like, they've got such a ridiculous amount of like quality players in the team. Like, you can't leave anyone. Like, and I think like if you have one person man marking De Bruyne, I think other players would end up getting left. I think like maybe just holding with shape. Like, as well, we know we're going to hold with shape. We're going to sit there with a bank of 4 and 3, and the wingers probably coming back into like almost a flat five in midfield at times. But yeah, they've just got so much quality in there. Like, it's not going to be an easy game. And Miley, I don't know. Like, we're going to have to play him because we don't have any other option. And he's shown to be good in games against PSG. So why not against Man City? Like, if you do the basic things right, we're not going to be creating chance after chance anyways. So yeah, maybe we will have to look to just funnel the ball out through the wingers or something like that, because we don't have a lot of creativity in that midfield three. But it'll be interesting to see like how we actually come out and how we're playing if we do try and create chances. How we're going to go about it, because Eddie will have a plan, as you said, going into a big game like this. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, and if the game's half as good as last season at home, that 3-3, then we're in for a good game.
Do you see any changes being made? Like, the only ones really we can look to make are probably defensive changes, but like you were saying earlier, that's probably his back four now. Like, that's his first pick back four. So do you think he just goes with that again? Or do you think there's a case to be made for somebody like Livramento to play left back, just for the speed? So we've got a bit more speed at the back as well. I would imagine Trippier's starting. So
no, I don't see any changes to the starting 11 unless Joe Linton is unable to make it through fitness. That would be the only thing. I think every other place in the team is just going to be exactly the same. Again, we know that's partly forced, and also I think even if we did have more players available, that Eddie doesn't often change it off the back of such a good performance. So yeah, I would think he'd just stick with the same lineup. But with the fact that Livramento could come on if we are pushing for a goal, and like he wants to, we've seen Livramento come on and play like more attacking as like a winger. If we did need to make that change. So yeah, I would obviously expect to see Livramento at some point in the game, but yeah, I don't expect him to be thrown in at the start. I think Dan Burn will keep his spot at left back.
I think when you're talking about like Burn's lack of pace, I really don't think we'll be playing that high off the field where he's going to be found out in that kind of way. Like, in these games against the bigger sides, generally away from home, but against Man City especially, I can't see we're playing a high line at all. Like, they control the game so well. Their defence will be playing in our half a lot of the game, so there shouldn't be those big gaps where Burn will get really caught out. I'm not saying he can't, because we all know that he can't turn particularly quickly, but I think it's not as much of a danger playing Burn in this kind of game than it would be playing some kind of like sort of Bournemouth, Everton, some team that's going to come and try and catch her quickly on the counter.
yeah.
So I'd expect to see the same lineup as Hayes said. hopefully Joe Linton's back. Like, there's as you said about him coming out in the second half against Sunderland with a little muscular like twitch, like obviously wanted to give him like 5-10 minutes or whatever, see how he reacts, and because he did have such a good first half, and he felt it, and it got brought off straight away. Maybe if we didn't score that second goal so early, that we would have kept him on 5-10 minutes longer or a bit longer to try and get something. But once we went to 2, then yeah, just get him off, rest him up, and then it'll give him a chance for Saturday, which I think we're all in agreement that we could really do with him. Because it will give us that extra little bite in midfield, and I think he would be a difference maker as well against City.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, gonna ask you for predictions now, but it's like for me thinking about what the score is going to be is so dependent on if Joe Linton plays or not. And that, I mean, it sounds harsh against Miley because he's obviously been brilliant since he's been in the team, but I think he's just such a different player to what Joe Linton is. Like, if it was Longstaff out and Miley was coming in, I'd probably not really feel that much different about it. But with it being Joe Linton, I think we miss so much with him out, especially when like Willock's not playing, because he's one of them that can drive with the ball, and then he's obviously also like one of the best at recovering the ball. He helps Dan Burn out a lot as well if he's on that left side. So I don't know who's got a prediction for me. Who wants to go first?
I'll throw my.
Tom, you're sounding confident. You're bringing up the cup win. We're at home. Just beat the Mackems.
No. Yeah, I'm gonna say I'll take it as a positive. I think we all would. I'm gonna say draw. I'm gonna go Desmond. I'm gonna say 2-2.
I was thinking of Desmond.
Yeah. I just feel like we've got the bit of form going forward now. Obviously, having bagged those 3 goals, like Isaac obviously looks sharp. And
great run of form.
Yeah. All right, form, very temporary form, but Isaac will just be looking sharp again. I think looking for some goals, and I obviously think City are more than capable of bagging a few goals against us as well. So yeah, I'm going to say 2-2.
Well, on the subject of temporary form, class is permanent, and we will put up a good performance. And I was going to say 2-2, but I don't want to predict we'll get beat by Manchester City.
The way you went into that, I thought I was expecting a win.
Hands in the first half, not going to lie.
Got you. No, like, as I say, it relies so heavily on Joe Linton. Like, if he doesn't play, I could say we're losing, like, 3. I'm going to go 3-1, because I think Joe Linton might be a bit of a miss, and I can't see him starting, like, I don't know. I hope he does, but if he doesn't, I'm going to go 3-1 to Manchester City.
Well, I'm gonna predict that he does play, he does start, and I'm gonna say we win 1-0.
What?
Ooh.
Clean sheet against City. Miggy with a fucking top bins.
Man shit,
No,
am I right?
I'd love to see it. Miggy top bins.
Dubravka's going to be pulling out worldly saves left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
on the pitch and at the Vermont.
Oh no. We don't stoop to these levels, Alex. We don't talk about rumours like this.
Not when Pete's not on the pod. We don't go that low.
No.
Yeah. Them pictures of Pete at the Sunderland game were good, like, weren't they?
Do you know why they're so good? Because he said when the photographer for Newcastle walked past, he was like, Serena! Then held his fucking flag up like that.
Oh,
to get a photo.
Fair play.
He was He was literally crying out for a photo. But there was one in the Chronicle as well, which obviously I don't think he knew as much about, and that was a good one as well. But he also looks about 6'7", so there's something at play there, and it's called him standing on the seat.
That's it. Like
getting these trotters all over the seat.
Trotter by name, trotter by reputation.
It looked like he's got. Did you meet up with him after that? After the game, yeah. What did all them say about the game then?
Yeah, I said it was class. Like they said that like the operation that Newcastle put together was like absolutely splendid. Like obviously giving people like the scarves, water. Said the coaches ran like perfect. Like and then obviously dropped back off the ground after. Like he said, it all went like perfectly to plan. He said it was the tiny bit of a squeeze getting out. So the police were a bit fucking arsey, to be honest. And there's a little bit of a crush while they wouldn't let the doors open, basically, to get back on the coaches. But generally, like everything from the Newcastle side, class. The atmosphere, he said, was like, he said it was really good. And understandably, 3-0 away to Sunderland. I think the lads were pretty chuffed with themselves. And they also gave
6,000 fans as well.
They give Luke O'Neill a bit of shite, which was caught on camera as well. So if you can lip read, you can read that as well, which is pretty entertaining. But yeah, class day by all accounts.
On that front, I was gonna say like that seems I'm jumping ahead here, but like obviously with the club organising all of that, and they'll have obviously utilised the cellar people probably to do something with that as well, because they can run events and do things like on a high end quality, but with it going pretty much faultless, but from our first hand accounts, like that seems to make me feel as though like the future things that are in play with what Salah are going to be doing, as we know, like the fan parks and stuff coming in a few years' time. Like, I think that's something as well that we can be pretty excited about, that they've already kind of getting involved in that sense.
Yeah, like all the scarves were like Salah sponsored on, so they definitely had at least a hand in probably paying for the scarves at least. But yeah, whether like we're stay at St James's Park, we move to a bigger stadium, whether it's on the grounds or not, as you're saying, Stack, which is opening, like they've got experience running these big events. So yes, I could see them playing a big part in our future, whether it's still as our main shirt sponsor, or like further in the background as an additional sort of event sponsor or something like that. Because obviously we've had our like questionnaires sent around by the club a few weeks ago now, asking about like if NFL was coming to St James's Park, would he be interested? Like, would he be interested in like more music, like venue, more music, like events going on at the venue? So I think like Salah will have a big part to play and stuff like that. And yeah, it seemed to work well on Saturday, so happy days.
Aye, because that was one thing that annoyed me. I was just seeing every like time, like it seemed along this the hoardings, like the advertising hoardings, it was Bruce Springsteen at the Stadium of Shite in the summer, and I'm like, that's got to stop soon. Like we've got to be taking those sort of major events from them and having them at St James's. Like, so, again, hopefully the source, the questionnaires that we filled out, that filters up to the very top, and we get a bit more, and then obviously it's more revenue as well, and we all know what that means: more revenue for the club, and better chances of putting that investment back into the squad. So just a little side note.
Well, yeah, just as you're talking about the investment in the squad, just before we sign off, it's obviously January, transfer window's open. Not hearing a lot for incomings, are we, really?
Very quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only one I've seen
surprised by that
kind of half reputable journalist is the Calvin Phillips link. apparently he's pulled out of he's personally distancing himself from the Juventus rumours. Is that because he wants to come here? I don't know. It's meant to be like a £7 million loan fee, which is obviously fucking ridiculous for 6 months. So I would only be interested in that if we were wanting to make the deal permanent, and then that's part of the fee or whatever. But, whether I'd want that to happen permanently, I don't know. I don't know. Like, if he's back to his best that he was at Leeds, and he has played for England, to be fair, then absolutely get him in. He's on number 6 for a number of years to come. It's just how quick he can get up to fitness, or Eddie Howe's level of fitness. Could take weeks, months. But that's the only one that I've heard of. Don't know about you, Paige.
Apart from him, it was the Guirassy, who has been banging in goals in the Bundesliga, but he's away at the African Cup of Nations, so for any club that want him, they'll have him missing for a few weeks. But he's got a reported 15 million release clause in his contract. I don't know, again, it's one which, I don't think strikers for us bringing it. I know we need one, but I feel like Eddie Howe wouldn't want to try and rush signing in a striker. He's 27. Could he just end up being a stopgap kind of signing, a bit like Chris Wood was. So yeah, I don't think I'm reading too much into that rumour personally. And to be honest, Eddie Howe has come out and said he's not really looking in this window. He said that after the Sunderland game, only if there was exceptional circumstances. So he seems to think that even with all of the injuries that we've got, that he's happy enough that they're going to be coming back into the squad soon enough. And so yeah, it would be surprising, I think, for me at least, that if we do sign anybody. But yeah, the Calvin Phillips one is the most likely, if any. But yeah, 7 million loan fee, 28 years old, for somebody who could just end up losing his spot to Tonali once he's back. Yeah, I'm not too sure if Eddie's gonna be that interested in doing that.
That's the thing. After the City game, we've got 2 weeks till that Fulham game now. So it's going to be the weekend of the 27th. It's going to be the end of the transfer window by the time we next play a game. We could well have players back by then. We've got a lot of.
When's the Villa game? January 30th.
30th. So that'll be the. Is it a midweek after?
Tuesday night.
That's the midweek after the Villa game. So that's a 8:15 kickoff. Nice late one. That's probably why it's struggling to sell out at the higher likely points at the moment. So maybe if it drops, I'll take a nice midweek drive down to Birmingham and cheer the boys on in one of the hardest places to go this season.
Well, yeah, maybe with the Phillips one, they can have a little discussion on Saturday when the two teams meet. They could tee it up.
Well,
maybe ask for a bit of a discount on the old fee.
Well, Dan Ashworth needs to be getting himself involved with us rather than entertaining any rumours of him going to Man United, which don't seem to be going away either, which I don't know what you guys think if we were to lose him to Man U, but it would be a bit of a blow. And I don't know, it's a project over there as much as it is a project that he's in the middle of with us. But surely our project is more, interesting and outweighs anything that they've got on. He's got more of a headache over there than he does over here. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be going away, that rumour that he's gonna up and leave. So yeah, a little worrying.
It's not ideal, but as you're saying, fingers crossed, he just sees this as more of sort of project. It's the word that's used like over and over on these kind of things. We'll be able to match his wages as well. Like we've got like enough money to like pay him. So it's just whether like Man United, yes, they are arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world, despite the form on the pitch for the past decade since Fergie left. But undeniably, it would be a hard one to turn down for him. But yeah, it just depends like how he feels about like what he's building here, what he's built already, and where he can take it. Because I think he's done a lot so far. He seems to be involved in a lot of different aspects of the club. And like, if he does go, it won't be as much of a disaster because I think he's put the building blocks in place now. Like whether it's the scouting, whether it's like any other of the backroom stuff. And he's been here for like what 18 months now or something like that since we actually finally managed to get him off his gardening leave. But I'd still be very disappointed if he went so not ideal.
Yeah, I'd say like if he goes though, Shola probably just jumps straight into his spot, so we'll be alright.
Fucking, I'm not trusting Shola.
He's a loan manager and couldn't get any loans for our players. But when they didn't even get any game time.
Wow.
Couldn't have been the way end against Sunderland, but I wouldn't really fancy him as director of football.
Anyhow, I got asked something about him recently, and his response, it sounded like Shola's basically just there to tell tales of old times. And
love it.
She's just there for vibes.
It's just there for vibes. Yeah. Just eating these apples on his bike.
Yeah, on that positive note, we'll wrap it up. If you've enjoyed the episode, guys, do consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the notification bell if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're consuming this as a podcast, then follow the podcast and leave us a 5-star review. That'll be really, really good. And anything you can do to help us out, hitting the like button and everything really does help. So thanks for that in advance. And you can follow us on social media at stjames'pod. We'll be giving you some crack hour there as well. We'll be back for the City review this time next week, I guess. And we'll soon be looking ahead to that fixture in the FA Cup as well. So hopefully my prediction's the correct one, seeing as I'm the only one who predicts a win for this game.
Yes.
But we'll be there to find out next week, and we'll see you in the next one.